All right. Well then, why don't we start talking about pardon me. Let's start talking about holidays. We are in the we're in the final stages of our workshop. We have spent the last 2 nights making personifications or the actual people that would go on to inspire a holiday, whether they're historical figures, religious, folkloric, or whatever. My voice should hold out, but I definitely want your all's creativity, okay? So, bear with me. Um, then we made our setting last night, both written, and we also learned to just start working in something as simple as paint to start giving us some ideas, to give us reference points of some kind. So to begin, to help prepare us, to prime our imaginations, and to get us thinking, I want to go over some different ways that real world events are celebrated. Because hi, Afterfov, because you're going to see many of these presented in our worksheet that you'll see on screen here in, I don't know, 20 minutes maybe, something like that. Now, at least as of the show, it is Rosh Hashanah 2023, and there's many different sites to if you want to research it, or maybe you have someone in your family who observes it, a friend or family member, I should say. You may yourself, or it's just you love learning about different peoples, religions, cultures, parts of the world, etc. So at least as of tonight's recording, it is Rosh Hashanah, and let's review it. Rosh Hashanah is a religious and festive time when family and friends gather together for meals and worship and grow closer to God. It's a time for looking forward to a new year with anticipation and reflecting on the past year to improve ourselves for the next. This 2-day Jewish celebration of the new year literally translates to head of the year in Hebrew. It is observed on the first and second days of the Jewish month of Tishrei, the first month in the civil calendar. Yom Teruah is the biblical name for this holy day. Teruah means a massive shout by a crowd or the blowing of a horn. Its origin can be traced back to the Old Testament book of Numbers in the Bible. The children of Israel were commanded by the Lord to make this observance. Pardon. And in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work. It is a day of blowing the trumpets unto you. And there are traditions that go along with this holiday. Candle lighting, blessings and prayers. You can read about the details. You can discover them more. Talk to someone that you may know or that you meet who celebrates, and find out if there's any particularly interesting, happy, or awkward memories at a dinner table or at a ceremony or observation. Because, we've all had it. It's not just contained to one religion or another. You might get together and you remember, oh yeah, we were out at Easter service, and There we were. We're getting ready to pray, and Grandma, right in the middle of Easter service in church, just you know, let one go. Not that she meant to, but everyone was very polite about it. Something along those lines. Because it is about the holiday, sure, but especially the people celebrating it and observing it, or the interactions that happen. So there's a lot here. Why, why challah bread? Why pomegranate? Um, this is, why this style of horn? It may very well have to be because of the culture, the traditions, the geography, the accessibility to certain foods that were just there. You want to read about the 10 days of awe? There we go. So, holiday from holy day is a day of dedication to religious observance. In modern times, a day of either religious or secular commemoration. Many holidays of the major world religions tend to occur at the approximate dates of more ancient pagan festivals. In the case of Christianity, this is sometimes owing to the policy of the early church of scheduling Christian observances at dates when they would eclipse pagan ones, a practice that proved more efficacious than merely prohibiting the earlier celebrations. In other cases, the similarity of the date is due to the tendency to celebrate turning points of the seasons, or to a combination of the two factors. In many countries, secular holidays are based on commemoration of historic events and the birthdays of national heroes. Ergo Independence Day in the United States and Bastille Day in France. Forms of observance of national holidays range from a display of the national flag to exemption of public employees from work, the latter practice generally being followed also by business organizations. Traditionally, many holidays are celebrated by family reunions and the sending of greeting cards and gifts. In Great Britain, the so-called bank holidays are marked by the closing of banks and other institutions. Again, a little bit more priming. Things for us to consider. What do people do on holidays? And it might seem like a weird question. What do you mean, what do people do? There's reasons we have customs and traditions. There's reasons that they're built the way that they are, out of the resources at the time, the beliefs at the time. Similar to, we had the meme going around here of, I saw an Instagram reel that said something along the lines of, women have no idea how often men in their lives think about the Roman Empire. So, I'm sorry, pardon me, everyone. So I asked my husband, how often do you think about the Roman Empire? And without missing a beat, he said every day. Y'all, why? It might be something you either don't realize that you do, or it just seems like, yeah, of course, I do it all the time. Other people must do it too. And then you go to, to realize that maybe it's not something as known or ubiquitous in your life, despite it always being there. So it's always fun to step back, even from something common. Well, what, why, or how do we celebrate a holiday in particular, or holidays in general? So let's get a couple video prompts in on this as well. And that will get us all warmed up for our worksheet. And then our exercise in the workshop for tonight is going to be taking the prompts that we have generated. And I want at least one awesome holiday from any of the mixture of every of what we've created. All right? All right. Also, hi Demon Quiller. Or wait, did I say hi to you already? Yeah, you might have done an EXP checkup earlier. In any case, hi DQ, good to see you. Now, this is pertaining to Obon, which you all may remember was the summer holiday that was celebrated in our coloring book pages. And there's different aspects of what goes on here. Well, if we're talking about creating more of a fantasy holiday, let's take a look at a real world one for some considerations, but then we'll filter it into the world that we've developed together.
If you have ever wanted to know more about the Obon holidays, you are in the right place. This is Inside Japan. Obon, along with Golden Week and the year-end holidays, are the 3 periods of time that the majority of Japan is on vacation. Many large chain stores remain open, but most businesses, both large and small, are closed, allowing people to return to their hometown or travel elsewhere. That being said, airfare is high and accommodations can be harder to come by. All that aside, what exactly is Obon? Japan celebrates many holidays that originate from all over the world. Obon is no exception. Obon is a Buddhist Confucian holiday which is sometimes referred to as Bon. Originally, it came from the Ulabana festival from India, but much like Dia de los Muertos in Latin America, Obon is a holiday to honor family that have passed away as well as ancestors. This holiday has been celebrated in Japan for over 500 years. Although most holidays last one day, Obon is a 3-day holiday. Traditionally in Japan, it was celebrated on the 15th day of the 7th month of the lunar calendar. At the beginning of the Meiji era, Japan changed to the Gregorian calendar. This caused Obon to be celebrated at 3 different times depending on the region. These 3 different times are Shichigatsubon, Hachigatsubon, and Kyubon. Kyubon uses the traditional dates and is celebrated in the Chugoku, Shikoku, and the northern Kanto regions, as well as in the Okinawa prefecture. Shichigatsubon is based off the solar calendar and is celebrated around July 15th. This is when many people from the Tohoku region and part of the Kanto region celebrate it. Hachigatsubon is based off the lunar calendar and is celebrated around August 15th. This is when most Japanese people celebrate it. Even though it is not considered a public holiday, most people are given leave during Obon. During this time, people return to their ancestors' homes and have a family reunion. Many families spend time with each other as well as clean their ancestors' graves. Some adults might even use this time to see old friends. Also, many local festivals take place during this time. The lanterns during this festival are said to guide the spirits to their families. For this reason, some lanterns are placed in homes. In some festivals, yaguras are constructed. A yagura is a small tower or bandstand used to hold traditional drums and drummers. This type of drum is known as taiko. People do a traditional dance around the yagura to the beat of the taiko drums. This type of dance is called bon odori. The places that don't use yaguras dance in a straight line down the street. During these festivals, many people can be seen wearing yukatas. A yukata is traditional Japanese clothing very similar to a kimono, but the overall differences are that it is lighter, made from cotton, and more casual. Even though Obon does deal with death, it is not supposed to be a time of fear or sorrow, but a time of celebration. This was Inside Japan, and thanks for watching.
So, that was a primer that discussed and showed even a lot more than just what was discussed. The regional differences, even the calendar differences that take place through the philosophy, religion, and even a cultural shift within Japan itself. And so it's the same holiday, just celebrated in these different ways. And it even drew in the origination in India, had the parallel with Dia de los Muertos. And we see in each of these, even in the parallels here, how people dress, certain colors or makeup, certain rituals that are undertaken, the business that occurs, if any, during that time. And to help get us thinking about a couple other different holidays, here's one more short video for a couple different festivals around the world, and I want you to watch and listen to the reasonings for it. What are people wearing, eating, doing? What is going on? What are some stories around it? All right, here we go.
Traveling the world and experiencing new cultures is a great way to expand your mind. And if you can time it just right, festivals are the best way to integrate with locals and learn about the area whilst having some fun, taking some memorable photos, and creating travel diaries that will impress for years to come. A festival is usually staged by a community, celebrating some unique aspect of that community and its traditions, and often set as a national holiday. Let's take a look at a few major world festivals. Undoubtedly, one of the most famous adrenaline buzz-filled festivals on the globe takes place annually in Pamplona, northeastern Spain. The Encierro, more commonly known as the Bull Run, has become a major global tourism event, held every year from July 7th to the 14th from 8 a.m. every morning. 6 bulls are let loose and participants line the streets, running alongside the animals with the aim of steering them towards the city's bull ring for the bullfighting that will take place later in the day. The length of the run is 875 meters and is one of the most terrifying festivals, even to its spectators. It's not unusual for there to be injuries during the event, around 50 to 100 per year, as the average speed of the herd reaches around 24 kilometers per hour. A total of 15 deaths have been recorded since 1910, as participants have been attacked or trampled on by the bulls. La Tomatina, another very famous Spanish festival, held in Valencia, eastern Spain, is significantly less dangerous, but a whole lot messier. Taking place annually on the last Wednesday of August, purely for entertainment, participants throw tomatoes and basically engage in a huge tomato fight in the town square, usually lasting around 1 hour. It is estimated that around 150,000 kilograms of tomatoes are thrown each year. Rio Carnival in Brazil is the largest festival in the world with over 2 million people a day for 6 days on the city streets. Brazilians are known for their party spirit, and Carnival is the perfect opportunity to highlight this with their feathery costumes, colorful parades, non-stop music, and eclectic performances. The festival is held annually in the week leading up to Lent. Diwali, or the Festival of Lights, is the biggest Hindu festival that is celebrated across the whole of India with excitement. The exact date changes each year because it is based on the Hindu lunar calendar, but typically occurs around October to November. Diwali is a 5-day celebration where clay lamps are lit to signify the victory of good over evil, light over darkness. It is a time for friends and family to come together to celebrate life, feast on traditional food, and exchange gifts. Let's finish with a somewhat bizarre festival held annually in the UK. The Cooper's Hill Cheese Rolling event in Gloucestershire, southwest England. Participants throw a 3 to 4 kilogram circular double Gloucester cheese roll down an extremely steep hill of about 200 yards and then proceed to chase after it to the bottom. The idea is to catch the cheese, but this is near impossible as it can reach speeds of up to 110 kilometers an hour. The winner is the first person over the line at the bottom of the hill. This tradition, as comical as it sounds and looks, is thought to be an early form of social entertainment, which began over 600 years ago. So whether it's cheese rolling, street dancing, candle lighting, food fighting, or just generally gathering with the locals, festivals are a surefire and fun way to immerse yourself in the community.
Hi, Rip Artist. Now, I hope that, I mean, some of this might have been redundant to you. Maybe these are holidays that you already know about or even celebrate. In fact, there's a very fun board game about the running of the bulls. It's a lot of fun to play through. But we had a very good smattering of holidays and some general considerations. What, does something exist for a reason? Why? Sometimes it's for funsies. Throwing tomatoes, rolling cheese. Sometimes it's something religious and spiritual. Such as Diwali. Or I think it's more of it's spelled with a W, but I think it has a little bit more of a V pronunciation. Sorry if I mispronounce it. I'll chalk it up to me being sick. Carnival is it's a long-lasting holiday, leads up to Lent, right? You do all the fun hedonistic stuff before you get your 40-day break from indulgence. We'll put it that way. So you indulge, right? That's how we have Mardi Gras as well. Fat Tuesday. So there's many different reasons that many different people do many different things. And, it could be born out of some sort of scripture, such as Rosh Hashanah. It could just be a way to socialize. Someone had a cheese and said, you know what? I think it'd be fun to roll it down a hill. And you know what? At the time, that was new. And who wouldn't want a big wheel of cheese as a prize? So of course you'd get together with, people in the community and, tumble down the hill. Of course, animal interactions. If it's something like the running of the bulls or even bullfighting, or to an extent, cockfighting, which, people are going to have different opinions on. Depending on any sort of exposure to culture or history or reasons or their own personal ethics. I'm not here to tell you, that you gotta accept it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But for some people, bullfighting, cockfighting, that kind of a thing, it is a part of that culture and expression of it. The running of the bulls is itself a celebration, kind of a holiday to, that has animals involved. There might be other times where it might be a more religious observance of a sacrifice of an animal. Or it could be an animal is involved because the prince fell down a well in the castle courtyard. And if it wasn't for the royal family's loyal whatever, dachshund, then never would the prince have been found. And that prince was recovered and grew up to become the greatest king of this kingdom. Or I'm just making stuff up. But from that day forward, there's a, it could even be a water festival, in hopes that the water, makes us better people, renews us, or whatever. So we actually have a water festival that I just completely made up, based on a prince falling into a well and a dachshund yipping up a storm to get someone's attention to save the prince. Why not? Why not have that be a holiday in your fantasy world? It is your world, and you should have fun with it. Your cultures, at some point, will have something to do or observe, or at least are going to need to take a break. As ironic as that sounds from me earlier tonight saying, I can't afford to take a break. I'm self-employed. I got the worst boss in the world. But, with this being primed, let's take a look at what we have made. We'll review it quickly. Then I want to fill out a worksheet with you all that's going to celebrate at least, I think we'll get one summer holiday from all the prompts that we've put out there. Normally, this is more of maybe like a 2-week event or like a 2-week workshop event. So I've had to condense it some, but you'll get enough of an idea where if you want to continue the exercises, you'll be able to, especially because our worksheet can accommodate 4 different holidays. For example, if you wanted to make one based on each NPC and villain. Now, we only used our Dungeon Master's Guide and our Player's Handbook in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And from this, let's get this open here. Bersilas says, I made one for my homebrew back then. The village celebrates with a bake-off. And can you discuss a little bit more about that? So Bersilas, let's say that we were adventurers in your world. We're passing by this village as outsiders of some kind, hopefully not ones that will be driven out of town. What would we learn? What would we see, smell, hear, or do? What happens? The adventurers smell the village long before you arrive. And by the way, DMs, Dungeon Masters, my friends, DMs, GMs, and STs, please always include a sense of smell description when you can. Smell is such an intense sense of our senses. I mean, I guess unless you consider, like psychic powers, one of them. It is the only sense that is directly hardwired to our brain. Others have to pass through other nerves and spinal cord and everything. Our olfactory sense is in our brain. And it is so powerful. So anytime you can, give a smell descriptor, because it can do so much to paint the scene with anything else you tell your players. Meats and soups, the village celebrates the birth of the humble bread which feeds many. And which time of year is this celebrated, Bersilas? So we made 2 NPCs and 2 villains. These can act as either a personification for a holiday, like an Uncle Sam for Independence Day, an Easter Bunny for Easter, kind of a mascot. If we were to describe the holiday as a person, what would it be or look like? Or, if it's convenient for you as the storyteller, this could actually be someone from history, from a religion, a folkloric hero, something along those lines. It's up to you to decide. But we randomly generated each of these prompts, and from them, we have been able to create a very original setting, an original people, and original concepts that are going to give birth tonight to an original fantasy holiday. And everything will blend in and will blend together. And you'll, after you understand this technique that I'm presenting and adjust it for your own tastes, I hope you'll never feel like, all right, well, this is, look, guys, just go along with it. This is just, it's not Halloween, okay? It's not Christmas. It's not, whatever else, any of the many. It's not Golden Week in Japan. It is, but come on, just roll with me. I want you to feel invested in your world, and that cultural festivals, as important as they are, even if it is, hey, Brufros. Pardon. Even if it is only a local village that has a bread ceremony or a bread, a bake-off. That one village has something special that speaks to the people and the culture, the economy and the ecology, the agriculture, the technological levels, right? It's, you speak so much about a place and its people with a simple rural village's appreciation of bread. And I know in many instances we are excited to be the big damn heroes of the story, to want to adventure into endless horizons, to always get that next level, that next spell. And oftentimes there may be things that are not always brought up, but it's a good, at least, it's a good thing to offer your players the chance to engage in a celebration. Maybe it's using one as the cover for a heist. Maybe it's one just to ingratiate themselves with the locals and get rumors, or to make some money performing. Or it's just a happenstance and it's a fun, what we're doing is important. We have to overthrow the evil tyrant, and on our march into the capital of the enemy lands, we found people that we thought would be our enemy, but on this day we were welcomed at their table, and they broke bread with us, and we found out that maybe we have more in common with the people of the countryside, and it's not everyone from enemy kingdom or enemy empire that's like this. And so we were sent off the next day with our backpacks filled with bread and cheese and jerky and a decanter of wine or something, because the people here saw that we also were not the enemy, and they hoped that maybe we could do something that they could not, but in their own way empowered us to push on through the evil lands that might not be so evil, in order to overthrow an actual evil or something along those lines. It was brought up, I think, in last night's broadcast about the Christmas armistice. During World War II. The one day where the factions that were fighting stopped, and they played a game of soccer together instead. And it was sad that after a day of peace, among a religion that both sides held very dear to them, that things had to continue as they did. But dang it, if for that one day They were shooting shots at goals and not at each other as human beings. That's the power of these things. Compelling, even tragic, somewhat dangerous, maybe steeped in deep faith, or has been conjured up by a con man as a way to bilk the locals out of something. But still, it is a cultural presentation. A hidden village named San Jose? I don't know. I hear that there's sharks in San Jose, but instead of swimming through the water, they swim on ice. Pardon. Versailles says basically the festival gets saved and perhaps spread depending on players if they manage to save the stock, stop the contamination from evil sources, building a relationship with neighboring village that exports oat so new varieties appear. Is that the name of the festival? I'm not sure what you're asking with the question, Versailles. So, are people or personifications? We made them following the rules in the core books, and these are the characters that we got here. An ancient female high elf, wild magic sorcerer, privateer. She's known for wearing flamboyant or outlandish clothes, which, by the way, this is a personification. This is a clue as to how the observers probably dress. Maybe this is something that might seem like the dresses and the makeup that we saw for Dia de los Muertos or Carnival, something like that. Who knows? Even the yucatas, if for Obon, might seem flamboyant in some ways. There's some very beautiful patterns on yucatas. If we're talking about something high strength, low intelligence, that might very well be the tomato throwing, or arguably the bull running. You know, a holiday where feats of strength are fine, but you don't really need your brain on for it. Maybe it's for fun, or because your bravado is what needs to be stronger than your intelligence. Perfect memory, either it's a person with it, or this is a commemoration of something. You know, we will never forget the day when. Speaks in rhyme or some other peculiar way. This could be a tradition of writing poetry. Or sort of like for Tanabata, you put the names of people or other little writings on paper and you tie it to some lucky bamboo. Argumentative. This is interactions with others. How could this be interpreted in a holiday way, or in a way that it had come about or is expressed? Is this a time of debates of something? You know, we saw that for things like in ancient Rome, where even the beasts of burden were given a holiday for that day, or that there would be a silly chariot race with mules instead of horses. Or you have the Feast of Fools, where the lower caste of Roman society got to pretend to be king for a day. Argumentative could very well be during a holiday around which we have this personification. Various issues of facing the culture are argued, but it's all done under sarcasm, so no one's feelings are hurt. Or, you know, even though it might be talking about real issues. Who knows? The ideal is that of creativity. So it is a creative time. It seems so for the clothing and maybe even the arguments. The way that you write your poetry. Oh, you're talking. Yeah, that's like the Icelandic shark or something. That's No, I was talking about the San Jose Sharks. It's not a National Hockey League hockey team located in San Jose. Yeah, something like Dr. Seuss. So we had these. I'm sorry. I'll keep it up for you to read. I have to watch my voice for as much as I have left tonight. I'm out of sippies, and I have to pace myself. We made 2 villains because not all holidays are for good reasons. And so we use the same methodology. We just added a couple overtly villainous descriptors to the people or personifications. Then we made our setting. It's taking place in an area that has Arctic and desert biomes that might very well overlap. And we looked into real life examples of that. The people here live in a confederacy, separate tribes or city-states that do concede some power to a central source to keep things going between them, but otherwise are independently ruled. We learned that there's a great stone wall in ruins, and a ruined statue of a deity in this area. Also a boulder carved with talking faces. We learned that there are gnomes and dwarves who live here, in harmony. The ruler is respected, fair, and just, so this is a working confederacy, with a notable academy known for its wines. However, currently, there's a religious sect, or several, that are struggling for power. There could be some kind of cultural revolution. Which, by the way, all of these things were coming together in a process we call iwi. That stands for It Writes Itself. We even made a map. If it looks crude, that's fine. But you know what I can do on this map? I can point to every single location of interest, and that is necessary for us to describe this region to our players. We can always refine it. We can always add detail or use more powerful tools. Though we have enough of an idea that we were able to build the ancient culture that was here first, and even seed the way for this religious strife to come about, both from one of our villains, and maybe even where we had placed that statue, and how it can sow the seeds of discord throughout the Confederacy by being introduced through one closest. Our story was coming to life before our very eyes, just like the flowers of the desert would bloom to life in the rainy season of the summer after the boulder with the faces began to leak and the water would course and spew out, creating this alluvial wash of silt flooding the desert. And shortly after, this whole area would be filled with beautiful flowers, or is ripe cropland to grow. And while otherwise, this is a desert, very low precipitation in the form of, usually in a polar desert, snow or fog. The gnomes and the dwarves probably live in the underground section of the city before it was buried with sand. They expanded upon it. These people moved here for some reason. We don't quite know why yet, but we can always make it up if it inspires us. There's a little bit of above ground action, of living, of producing some crops and guiding the water down underground. But we have just made an entire society over the course of a couple hours in a workshop week. If I can do this sick and on Twitch in front of you all, I promise you, you can do this to much greater effect than what I can show you. I want you to believe in yourself. You absolutely can do this. I want you to. I challenge you to do so, but in a friendly, supportive way. And if you ever need help with it, all you have to do is ask. So, where does that take us for tonight? Let's bring our worksheet up. This is a guide to help us. Now, we don't know the name of our holiday yet, or if it's your world. I mean, Bersilis might already have a name for his bread baking holiday. And if that's so, cool. You put it up, you up. And Bersilis already knows that it was named after the first person the first baker to ever come up with this type of bread. Or, there's a story to it. There's a story to everything. If you don't know it, that's fine. Maybe that's the last thing. You have to look at everything else before the name strikes you. But here's something. What is the point of our holiday? Well, we had a lot of inspiration. The first baker to use yeast and bread on. Yeah, before then it was all unleavened until someone's like, a bunch of mold got into my bread. Yeah, you know what? We're low on food supplies. Whatever, I'll throw it in the oven. That'll kill it, right? And it comes out and it's raised and it's so fluffy and delicious. And the person discovered leavened bread, all because of a food shortage and kind of a sense of desperation and hope. You forget the name now, but you are right. It was named after the person who discovered the yeast equivalent and saved the people from breaking their teeth on hardtack. Hi, Mushio. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Now, these are all questions to ask. What's the point of a holiday? What is the point of Diwali? What is the point of Independence Day? What is the point of the running of the bulls besides their horns? But tis. So let's think back. Where can we make some good connections for a summer holiday? I think we had a really good one here with of all of these old figures from the old world that the dwarves and gnomes excavated, found things here. We had this undead looking to bring back this lost deity. Who had an ideal of knowledge. Of course, we have an academy. We have an academy in our city. And on top of that, we also had one of our NPCs, not necessarily a villain, who had a perfect memory here. And so I think that we can find, maybe this is some sort of This is some sort of an academic thing. Is this when maybe this is when school ends for the summer for these people? Because maybe in the climate, honestly, it's you have to use the short summer that you have in an Arctic or Antarctic setting to work as much as you can during the daylight that you have before things get cold and dark again quickly. So what if we had that as our holiday is that kind of day of graduation where it's the new year for school kind of a thing. Since learning is important, we spent this entire week talking about anthropology, fossils, mixing stuff up, learning about old societies. Education is important, especially if you live in a harsh environment. You need to adapt and innovate. You have to learn about the world around you. So why don't we have some kind of point of the holiday to celebrate knowledge, to celebrate the knowledge we learned throughout the rest of the year, and ready ourselves to apply that knowledge for the short, industrious, and fierce summer to come. Now, if that's the point of our holiday, what might a tradition be? And not just even one. I mean, some holidays might just have one grand tradition. But what might be some primary traditions if we're making a summertime holiday that celebrates the knowledge we learn throughout the rest of the year and readies ourselves to apply that knowledge for the short, industrious, and fierce summer to come? Ideas? I mean, I could sit here and fill out the worksheet, but that's half the fun lost. Calligraphy and poems. Right? Draw back. Draw back on this stuff. Speaks in rhyme or some other peculiar way. Okay. Right. And even the villain. The villain paints. So far, our high elf and half elf are kind of making our high elf and half elf NPC and villain are kind of forming a backbone here. Not that the others can't play into it. Sorry, everyone. Hold on. I have to get a more quick a mic mute button. That's not fair for you all to listen to me do that. Okay. Poems and reflections on the year. What would be some other traditions? If we have the long memory, maybe this is where, maybe, you know how, people will set a New Year's resolution. What if this kind of being the new year for these people, like a summertime New Year, they set a goal and work towards it. In an academic sense, it might be a thesis that you hope to prove. An invention you hope to have come to fruition that will help society, yourself, or whatever. Mushio says younger members of society have a coming of age, something they make or create for the community. So the students, oh yeah, because we're talking, 3 of the 4 inspirations are, either like just elderly or ancient. This does seem to be an ancestor worship community, or is some sort of just an elder reverence. The one villain is the only younger characterization. That might be something that is an offering of peace by the young to the old, as a show of appreciation and a reminder of the brashness of youth and how destructive it could be. So that could be something as well. Pardon. They venture out and return before this festival to showcase what they've learned. Ah, so they okay. Okay. So this might also be a time of sabbaticals. Oops. I see, right? Sabbaticals, yeah. All right. During this time in summer, we know that the floods are going to happen. There's going to be the silt in the water and the flowers and the crops, but also a lot of water causing possibly a lot of damage. What would be some taboos? Something cultural? Something you shouldn't say? Do? Eat? Is there any kind of a taboo to, that you want to avoid during this time? Something wasteful. Bruffer says alcohol during the festival, taboo, so people are ready if the floods happen. All right, so everyone needs to have a clear mind. It's a time of reflection, and we don't want... There's time in the long winter to help you pass those long nights. Sometimes you gotta drink something to help you pass the time and to stay warm. So taboos, alcohol. Yeah, sobriety. Hurting an elder? I'd imagine hurting an elder is it's not just a taboo for this holiday. But maybe something about the being vain about youthful appearance. Oh, some sort of a fast? I don't know about a fast. I do agree about the sobriety to keep your mind clear, but you would also want your body ready and to be nourished. If we've already gone through springtime, when all of the growth has begun, then I don't know if a fast would necessarily. Now, a taboo about youth. In that sense, maybe the taboo, if we take youth being the modern culture of the dwarves and gnomes, a taboo might be on this holiday. You should wear something that has been discovered from these old people who have been buried in the desert. And so a taboo would be to wear common yearly clothing of dwarves and gnomes, instead favoring the found or interpreted styles from the remains of the ancient inhabitants. No pranks. Yeah, so one of them is a trickster god, a cleric of a trickster god. No pranks. D&G, dwarves, and gnomes. The dwarves and gnomes are who live here currently. Before that, it was elves and tieflings and dragonborn, but the concept got muddled where the humanoid skeletons of the elves were found to be modified, as they would have things like backwards knees. And so the concept of what we call a satyr, to us being a goat person from Greek mythology, to the dwarves and gnomes who found and excavated here, there are these pure elf skeletons. But then there's these skeletons that kind of look like elves, except they have horns, backwards knees, and in fossil records things get mixed up. So they may not have a concept of a dragonborn or a tiefling. We're using that as a convenient reference point from the rule books. But that might be, it's the elves and something that happened to the elves. Maybe that's what caused their society to die out. They were fused with some kind of an animal that gave them these appearances. Maybe something along those lines. Now, what might be some symbols that we see? During many holidays, or what do you see around Christmas time? You see trees and presents with ribbons and stars. You see eggs for Easter. You'll see the Star of David for Jewish holidays. And so, whether it's a secular symbol, it's religious or something, what would be some common symbols that would encapsulate the spirit of this holiday? What might we see? A sacred plant, so that'd be like a desert flower. So it'd probably be some kind of a stylized flower. We might see, because remember, this is built on and under an ancient civilization filled with the bones of the people who used to live here. we might see, sort of like the video from Dia de los Muertos, we might see skulls or other it would be kind of like an Obone where death is something, but it's not necessarily spooky season death. It is that it's the living memory passed down from us, the process of exploration. A skull contains the brain, contains the mind. So skulls might be something. Pardon. Now, common colors. It could very well be, again, many holidays have a color palette of some variety assigned to them. What would be some colors of this holiday that celebrates the knowledge we learn throughout the rest of the year and to ready ourselves to apply that knowledge for the short, industrious, and fierce summer to come? By the way, the sun, if it's a summer festival, or the rain, might be common symbols as well. Might even be some fusion of a... Oh, you know what we could probably do? If our city map was sketched out like this, we might even have something that combines a sun with raindrops in almost some sort of like a yin-yang looking thing. Creativity just hit. Let me see what I can do here. This is why you keep your canvases open, my friends. So here we have rain and the sun, two crucial elements to our summertime here. Something like a compass rose. So this might actually be this might actually be how and when, you know, the rains might blow in, or just the fact that you have the water that flows from all these different directions into this basin, which is like the sun, because that is the hot hot in the summer, even though it's a cold desert. So what might we call this? This might be a very common symbol. And it could just be called the sun rain. Common colors may very well be like blue and orange. And if we're talking about desert flowers, Bursilis, purple of the desert flower, brown of the flood, blue of the intelligence. What if we change the blue to green to represent the crops as well as the growth in our minds? So if we go purple, brown, and green for Silas. Yeah, like this might even be the symbol, the flag of this confederacy. at least the central government of it, and like the offices here. And then each would have their own take. Maybe each would be the raindrop in its own way, supplying something to the center which radiates back out. And this is also kind of an indicative it's indicative of the water cycle, which these people would have very good knowledge of. So there's some good symbolism to this. Which kinds of decorations would we see out during this holiday? Some kind of decorated plants, harvested stuff, garlands. Would we see streamers? Big parades. Would we see just skulls? Maybe there's a culture here where everyone kind of adopts a skeleton found from this buried city, and it's almost polite to invite whoever this person was into your home. What if every home has an old skeleton in it? Do you decorate your skeleton every year for this holiday? Water barrels? Okay, so some sort of decorated water barrels. Oh, you know what? If the taboo is wearing something that you would normally wear, we do decorate our home skeletons. It's a cultural exchange. We dress up our skeletons at home in the clothing we would wear to make the spirit feel welcome in our home. And we try to understand them by wearing their clothes. Yep. Hey, that might be the time to wash off the graves too. Yeah, and if there's no rain, it could be a bad omen. All right. Silas, you were talking about bread earlier. What might be some common foods that we would eat? And this could be drink as well. Remember, we are known for wine in this region. What would be some common food or drink that we would consume for this holiday? With everything we've built so far, if we have people going on sabbaticals, or people who are remembering all, the past year of education and looking to apply it forward, probably something hearty for all the cleaning and traveling that we're doing. And also which kind of foods are abundant in the summertime, whether it's plant or animal. An animal can be mammalian, avian, could be bugs. Maybe there's just a really delicious, I don't know, they're called honey beetles. And for whatever reason, the honey beetles spawn after the first monsoon or something of the season. They just crawl up out of the ground, and the honey beetles, this could be a separate holiday, who knows? But man, you could just pick one up, pop it in your mouth, and they are delicious. Maybe the honey beetles are what's crushed into the wine, and why the wine from this region is so unique. Quiche. So if we have quiche, not that there's been an indication that we don't, but if we have quiche as a festival food, we are going to need an abundance of egg-laying animals. whether that is avian, reptilian, or insectoid, I suppose. We need maybe even fish, piscine. You got to crack the eggs to make the quiche. Otherwise, you'll want another medium that's not egg in order to bind your veggies together. Delicate desert cactus fruit. Teach younger kids how to harvest them safely. Pass that information down to the next generation. Ah, yes, the traditional, the annual Hot Pocket. Common foods would be, I think, the vegetables from the flood, from this. Remember, like the abundance of life that springs up once that water hits. So something like salads. Pardon. Salads. Last year's wine that finished aging. And that could be mead as well. Yep, no alcohol. We got to stay sharp for this holiday. All right. What are 3 sayings or greetings? This could be well-wishing. This could be a curse. This could be just something that people really only say this time of year. What might 3 different sayings or greetings be? You know? You might go around saying, Happy New Year! Feliz cumpleaños! You know, Tanjobi omedeto gozaimasu. What are some things that you might say during this time of year? You know, a quaint phrase, maybe something that has some religious importance. Now, would it be something like "May the rain," or should it be for "Pray for rain"? Or are we just hoping, or are we, you know, pray for rain, my friend. Pray for rain, my friend. Bersilis! Pray for rain. It is good to see you again. You know, how's the wife and kids? Oh, are you ready? Now, I am ready to bust open into that bottle of last year's. We can't have the wine. Not during this one. Last year's preserves. Last year's preserves. Food and water storage is important in a society like this. Jams, jellies, things that are jarred, or otherwise like potable water. Water that can be kept fresh and clean for long periods of time. Last year's preserves are brought out to be enjoyed because we can't have alcohol. May the rain wash your failures clean. Ugh, gosh. Sorry, everyone. That was a sneeze. And I really shouldn't hold those in. May the rain come. May the rain wash your failures clean. Root vegetable that is a food staple, but afterwards could be used to make an alcoholic beverage for the holiday. Some good old-fashioned potato water after Fav. The rains miss your house for 100 summers. Oh, if you don't like someone? So we want something about the rain. All right. As the rain falls. Don't forget. Everyone says don't forget. This is definitely not the holiday to forget or be forgotten. Don't forget. A caution, a warning, don't forget. Also should have the first blood where you invite the person you have a grudge with to fight in the flooded desert, win or lose. You leave the grudges there. The blood spilled from that is to nourish the land. Oh, so there might be some sort of a... for all the stress that's built up over the year, what happens in the floodplain stays in the floodplains. That might be another summer holiday then, for Silas. Maybe not this one, but that might be something else that this culture does bear. And Bersilas also gave a non-verbal one, which was a bow with clasped hands. All right. We do not need the lyrics. But what I do want, I want 2 song titles. Folk songs, religious hymns, or verses. I want 2 song titles, and what kind of song is it? Or which kind of song is it? Is it a somber song of remembrance? Is it a joyous yodeling of excitement for the future? I want a song title, and I want to know what the song conveys. And by the way, for things like, blessing the rains in Africa from Toto, it is also, you have my permission, and it is a time-honored tradition. You can always play into a pun or a reference. To play into this, if you want to have a song called To Our Towering Opportunities. Toto, a song of cheer and looking forward to the New Year's bounty. It's fine to play into this stuff, everyone. Tears of the Light, traditional song sung during first rain. Also the challenge to face the rains and floods. You know, with all the graves around, what if we had, you know, a man of constant borrow by the sung by the Soggy Desert Boys. It doesn't have to be that. That's playing hard into it, but you get what I'm going for here. So we have Tears of the Light, a traditional song sung during the first rain and to prepare for the floods. There may very well be after Fav. And that would be something, if you're running a game and your adventurers come into this confederacy, people are celebrating, there will very obviously be people doing the opposite. In fact, probably the greatest tavern or something in this place may very well run counterculture because whatever else the slaughtered satyr is in the front of house, in the back of house, this is a thieves guild hangout. And if you don't think that they're rum running during this dry spell, you'd be mistaken. All right, what might be some common clothing? If any, we've seen various nudist summertime celebrations. Now we might be wearing something, unless it's that time honored technique. Oh, I have to give a speech in front of my coworkers or my class, and I'm so nervous. Just think about everyone naked, and that'll make you laugh. Huh? Okay, some kind of shorts. Yeah, so there's probably some sort of veil or heat protection or sun reflection. In fact, if we're talking about graduation ceremonies, pardon. You know how you have the tassels on the mortarboard style hats? You might have a veil that you have open, and when you've graduated or you've finished for the year, you close the veil because now it's time to work. You've had your eyes open to see, and now you need to not shut them per se. You have to close them in order to now start working and applying on what you thought about and did. Some sort of a woven hat. Yeah, like a reflective hat. There could be a special plant. I mean, you could just say something like, silver grass grows here. And it's actually a grass that has a reflective coating on it. That could also be harvested for a lot of other things. but especially is put onto clothing, like onto hats, to keep the sun away. And now we've had an even more special customized thing. So let's do that. We'll just call it, you might call it something different. Silver grass hats to both illustrate how enlightened our minds are, and also keep the sunlight and heat off of us. Yeah, so it'd be sort of like the rice paddy hats, right? But they have almost a reflective texture. Plus, if you're ever lost in the desert, the reflective hat can help send a signal. For all we know, on this map scale, this is 200 miles. There's nothing saying that it isn't. Or this is 2 miles. It's your choice. You want it to be 220 or 200. Now, here we go. This has its own place. What is a common scent? Pumpkin spice in the autumn. Gingerbread in Christmas time. Maybe a nice lavender or a jasmine in the spring. The smell of smoked barbecue in the summertime. For many of us, it's different for all of you. You're from different parts of the world. For this holiday, what do we smell? We're doing a lot of cleaning. We're doing a lot of other things. There's a lot of... remember, if we're preserving stuff, that could even mean that, last year's flowers have been pressed into a perfume of some kind. Or various rocks and other things that have been found underground. Because minerals have scents as well. Some kind of an incense or drinks that keep people awake and watching. Okay. Oh, a caffeinated incense. That'd be something. So some kind of a plant that's turned into an incense or a wood, maybe even a mineral, that when smoked or when made into incense, keeps you, it is your 5-hour energy, because it takes 5 hours to burn down the stick, and then it keeps you up. Yeah, some creosote, something like that. If there are pines around, there could be. You get some pine tar. That could be something. Something special that lives up in the mountains of this Arctic desert. I'm going to put it in quotations. Caffeinated incense. Now, we don't necessarily need one here, but something to consider on the worksheet might be a secondary story. And what could a secondary story be? Oh yeah, the preserves as well. I bet every family has their own special recipe. And the preserves could be jellies and jams. The preserves could be something like kimchi. Because that's sealed and buried and left to... Well, that's a fermentation process. Could be something spicy like that. So the primary story of Christmas is the birth of Jesus Christ. The secondary story to Christmas is Santa Claus and his elves make presents and delivers them to children. That's what I mean by a secondary story. There's something else that is celebrated with, or, in conjunction or as a parallel. One might be the religious story. The other could be a secular or more of a folk tale interpretation. Yeah, so Santa is Christmas's secondary story. Now, if we have one here, we have one here. If not, it's fine. But I at least want to make you all aware that this could be something that you want in your, that you want as a part of your world. As a part of the celebrations, you're offering your players' characters as they pass through the region, they pass through the city. As they saw a parade go down the road, and they say, "What's that?" And then they reach a different part of the city where it's similar, but people are acting differently. Well, kind of like celebrating Obon in Japan in 3 different months. You might have, one part of the city celebrates something religiously, and then the other part of the city celebrates, with more of their folkloric take. Or what we read about in terms of as Christianity spread up from Rome through the Germanic tribes in Northern and Western Europe, it was a lot easier to just have Christian holidays fall on the pagan holidays. And so there's going to be a primary and a secondary story in cases like that. So a lot of fun things, and hopefully, look, this wasn't onerous. I hope you found that this was compelling. This was cool. So I suppose the last question to ask you, knowing all of this, what is the name of our holiday? What do the people of this confederacy of dwarves, of ancestor worshipping dwarves and gnomes, call this holiday? You could make up a name and say it's so-and-so's day. Maybe that was a common name or something found around the ruins. Or it's the name of the founder of this new confederacy built atop this old civilization of elves and whatever happened to the elves. Summer Flund? Skywash? Hi, Batispada. We are putting the capstone on our summertime holiday workshop. I'm not sure what a flund is, Persilis. But there could be something, unless you meant flood. This is a time of... it's a made-up word, okay. And that's fine, too. Something like that, because we have a flood of sun, a flood of water, a flood of knowledge and labor. Flood and land, okay. Pardon. So because this is a festival of a lot of different things in a combination, why don't we just call this, this is Flund. Why not? It's almost time for Flund. I know! The 10 days just keep passing. I remember Flund 3 years ago. Oh yeah, your husband made the cactus preserves, right? Well, they were pickled cactus. Yeah, it was close. Not quite as sweet as well, look. I know your sister makes an excellent sweet cactus jelly. Yeah, oh boy. You remember Flund when we were kids? Yeah, of course. I'm the one who helped you decorate your skeleton. Ha. Yeah, that's right. You know, it took him 2 weeks to find the skull. You got in so much trouble for hiding the skull. Of all the bones you could have lost, it was the skull. Flund is a time of forgiveness, my friend. It only took them maybe 5 years to forgive me for ruining Flund for them. Well, hey, you know what? Bygones are bygones. My son is coming back from sabbatical, and I really look forward to hearing what he had learned while he was traveling outside the lands and making contact with other people. Oh, excellent. You know, that's a long Flund time tradition in these parts. You're fine, Batispada. I hope you had fun.